بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أمسينا وأمسى الملك لله والحمد لله لا شريك له، لا إله إلا هو إليه النشور. أمسينا على فطرة الإسلام وكلمة الإخلاص وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين. اللهم إنا أمسينا منك في نعمة وعافية وستر، فأتم علينا نعمتك وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما أمسى بنا من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، ولك الحمد ولك الشكر. يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا. أحبتي، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله، طبتم وطاب ممشاكم وتبوأتم من الجنة منزلا بإذن الله. ثم أما بعد. So here is our presentation for tonight, and I would really appreciate it if our sisters upstairs can just keep the kids under control and be just as quiet as possible if I'm not asking too much. Sisters, jazakumullah khair. So as you see, this presentation is Islamic Finance 101, and I mean it actually to be as such, Islamic Finance 101. If you want to break it down to like three different components: finance and Islamic, and why I'm calling it 101. When you hear that someone works in the finance industry, what comes to your mind? What does finance mean? Generally speaking, in any society, there are like group of individuals and entities who do have extra money, and they are willing to direct that money to any project or any like potential business that bring them more money. So there is a kind of like money supply, if you wish. And on the other side, there are a group of individuals and entities who are looking for funding opportunities. Someone wants to purchase a house. Someone wants to pay for the tuition fees, to pay whatever expenses, to start a business, to expand the business, whatever the reason might be. So there is a supply and there is a demand. There is a supply and there is a demand. Now, when the society actually is as big as United States of America, you are talking about millions of individuals between money supply and money demand. We definitely need شو صار بمية ليه؟ طيب. You definitely need a third party, like someone in between, جزاك الله خير, to facilitate or to mediate, to bring people together. So in a very technical term, we're talking about fund mobilization, collecting fund from those who do have extra fund and they are willing to offer that fund for money. أخي, can you manage upstairs? إزعاج كثير فوق. طيب. Sisters, if you don't mind, like if we can have the kids, like, I know I'm asking too much. So, طيب. So there is a fund mobilization, bringing money, collecting money from those who are like willing to give that money for a return. And there is a fund utilization, like directing that money to those who are willing to take the money for whatever return. And there is a fund intermediation, which is the exact job of the finance institute. That finance institute could be a bank, could be finance company, could be a mortgage company. Okay, the job of any finance institute, as long as the whole finance system is just the global, the capitalist finance system, is to take that money from the money suppliers for a certain return. Okay, they take the money like through CDs and saving accounts, let's say for 3 or 4%. They take that money, give it to like those who are looking for fund for maybe 7 or 8%. So they borrow money for interest and they lend money for interest. That is their job. Okay, you just pick and choose whatever you want. You go to Bank of America, you go to Chase, you go to Wells Fargo, you go to Capital One. You apply for a loan, any loan you want. Personal loan, business loan, investment loan, student loan, construction, you name it. As long as you are approved for a certain amount of money with a certain APR. APR stands for annual percentage rate. Okay, that means that you are borrowing the money for interest. Where did they get the money from? They have borrowed that money from somebody else. Okay, they give him or her 3 or 4%, and they give you that money for 7 or 8%. They keep the difference for themselves as their commission. This is how they make their money. But my point here is that there is no mode of finance other than just lending money with interest. Lending money with interest. So this is actually the finance as an industry. Now, if you add to the term finance, if you put behind it Islamic finance, now we are zooming in and talking about a certain finance system. We all here know for fact that Alhamdulillah Islam is a very comprehensive way of life. Okay, there is an ethical system, there is a ibadat, a ritual system, there is a Islamic penal law and Muslim family law and a social system and so on and so forth. One of those systems actually is the Islamic finance one. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did actually get involved, okay, in the way that people, okay, or set like certain rules and regulations and guidelines for people actually to transact with one another. There are certain like ethical issues that have to be taken into consideration. Now, when you say Islamic finance, it should come to your mind that each and every single individual in this system, whether you are the one who is giving the money or receiving the money, or otherwise the third party or the finance institute, every single individual has to maintain the highest level of transparency and integrity. Everything has to be clear and obvious from day one. So no surprises as we go, right? From day one, who is offering the money, who is receiving the money, who is the manager and the person in charge when it comes to day-to-day operation. Okay, if we do have partners, how much each one of them has to pay, what is the payment plan, what will happen if someone did not commit to his commitment and wants to change his mind, what if someone passed away, what if someone wants to exit that partnership, okay, if there is a profit, who is entitled to get the profit, if there is a loss, who will be incurring the loss, what is the percentage of dividing the dividend, or every single tiny detail has to be incorporated in a contract, whether that contract is a verbal one or written one. But again, no surprises as we go. No one can say, oh, you know what, I didn't know that. No one told me. That's the exact transparency and integrity that I'm referring to. The Islamic finance system, we highly consider the permissibility, okay, and we give it a priority way over the feasibility or the profitability. So permissibility overrides feasibility. What does that mean? It means that regardless of how feasible, how profitable a certain business might be, as long as that business does not comply with the ethics, with the convictions of the community, it should not be even considered from day one. We cannot even sit down and talk business if the final product is something that's haram. Anything related to gambling, winery, adult entertainment, anything that's explicitly haram, right? We don't care about how profitable that business might be. What we care the most about is how permissible and how halal that business might be. So this is the ethics and the value. Another characteristic is what is called commoditization and asset-backed. Okay. Nowadays, a lot of people actually do have business in the stock market, and they trade in certain so-called financial instruments between CDO and CDS and derivatives and futures and options, okay, and so on and so forth. The vast majority of those so-called financial instruments are not backed up by any commodity or by any merchandise or by any service. So those people who are making money in the stock market, they make money actually without benefiting the society at large. As a practicing Muslim, you need to make sure that in the same way that you look for your best interest, you need to look for the well-being and the welfare of the society at large. Get involved in business, make money. Okay, we would love to see you flourishing with your business. However, you need to make sure that you produce something that makes sense. You add some value to the society. You produce something, you create something, you buy, you sell something that's really beneficial to the society. So it's not only you, it is you and the society as well. So make sure that you go with the commoditization, get involved in commodities and merchandise and real services that really makes the life easy for people around you. It goes without saying that maybe the most important characteristic of this finance system is the ban or the prohibition of riba. You cannot get involved in riba. You cannot you cannot lend money with interest. You cannot borrow money with interest. And you cannot get involved in facilitating or helping other people actually getting involved in riba. لعن الله آكل الربا ومؤكله وكاتبه وشاهده. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam both are cursing the one who consumes riba, like takes riba from other people, and the one who pays it to others, and the one like who documents and writes down the riba transaction. Even the two witnesses who have nothing to do with borrowing and lending, they are still cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet because they facilitated that riba transaction for other people. Very interesting to know here that the prohibition of interest is not something limited to the Islamic faith or the Islamic value, right? We wholeheartedly believe that riba actually was prohibited in Judaism, it was prohibited in Christianity, it is prohibited in Islam, and will continue being prohibited all the way until the Day of Judgment. We are not like coming up from nowhere, okay? Forget about the Torah. Go to the Quran that you read day and night. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was criticizing a certain Jewish community for a certain period of time for certain sins that they have committed. He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَبِظُلْمٍ مِّنَ الَّذِينَ هَادُوا حَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ طَيِّبَاتٍ وَحِلَّتْ لَهُمْ وَبِصَدِّهِمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ. Okay. Now the emphasis here, وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا. They used to transact and deal with interest while they were prohibited from doing so. You see here the connection, the pattern. I know that we have a lot of like concern when it comes to the validity or the authenticity of so-called Bible that people refer to as a Bible. Forget about this particular point. Grab any edition of the Bible and start just reading randomly. You will come across several verses either by Isa alayhi salatu wasalam or by the disciples, al-Hawariyin, in which they were explicitly prohibiting their followers from dealing with interest. So there is a lot of consistency here. As I said, riba was prohibited in Judaism, was prohibited in Christianity, is prohibited in Islam, and will continue being prohibited all the way until the Day of Judgment. Based on that, if we agree that the prohibition of interest is the most important characteristic of this finance system, then you can confidently call the system that we are discussing tonight, you can call it a Jewish finance system, you can call it Christian finance system, you can call it Islamic one, you can call it divine one, call it whatever you want. The matter of fact, I don't actually prefer to call it Islamic finance. I would love to call it just divine one. So here is the so that is the finance and that's the Islamic one. Let's move on. Why I'm calling this presentation Islamic Finance 101? Because in this hour or so, we will not be having enough time to discuss like very technical and tiny details about every single thing that might come to your mind. Let's say, for example, that we concluded that the mudaraba, for example, or the trustee partnership, okay, is a well-established mode of finance in the Islamic finance system. What will happen if one of the partners passed away? What will happen? Again, all these details are not to be included in our presentation tonight. Okay, if we concluded, for example, that conventional mortgage is not a halal option, okay, how about those so-called Islamic mortgage companies? Are they doing a wonderful job or a horrible job? That's completely out of discussion because this is just Islamic Finance 101. So the main purpose of this presentation tonight is just to go home with a very clear message that when you hear the term Islamic finance, you know exactly what do you mean by it. Now, all these details could be discussed in a different session, like different level of conversation and presentation. Moving on, we just said that riba is not allowed. What do you mean by interest? Sometimes you technical difficulties. Sorry. Sometimes you like you tend to educate yourself in riba, and you just go to those classical فقه بوكس المغني لابن قدامة عمدة السالك وعدة الناسك في الفقه الشافعي المبسوط للسرخسي مش عارف and you go to كتاب الربا chapter of riba and you start reading examples, right, that are very confusing for you, right? You come across, for example, exchanging barley for wheat, or exchanging like good date fruit for a bad date fruit with different weight, or exchanging rice for sugar. And you start like, scratching your head and, ask, is this the riba that like we are referring to? Okay. My answer actually is no, is absolutely no. Those examples are very correct, very authentic, do not get me wrong, but they are very outdated examples. Okay. Muslims in the United States in 2025 do not exchange barley for wheat or sugar for rice. If you want to make an order, just grab your iPhone, you go to that, that app, and you make an order. Use your debit card, your credit card. Sometimes use like cryptocurrency, and within 2-3 hours, you find the order in front of your front door, right? So those examples are correct, but they are very irrelevant to our society. I want you to forget about all these different examples and do not get scared by those big names, okay, that you read in the classical fiqh books. You read Riba al-Fadl, Riba al-Nasa, Riba al-Nasi'a, Riba al-Jahiliya, Riba al-Duyun, Riba al-Ta'am, Riba. Forget about all these different big terms and just focus on one definition or one category of interest, which is this one. So from now on, whenever I say riba or interest, I do actually refer to this very particular one. It is the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender, as you see here, along with the principal amount, either as a condition for the loan and for an extension in its maturity. For more simplicity, forget about the very last sentence, or for an extension in its maturity. Just forget, focus on the rest of the definition. Forget about the very last sentence. So riba actually is the premium, one more time, the premium that must be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. As a condition for the loan. What does that mean? Look at the definition again. How many categories of money we have here? We have two. We have the premium and we have the principal. And how many contracting parties we have here? We have two. Okay? We have borrower and we have a lender. We have a borrower and we have a lender. Now this definition actually makes it clear that there is no partnership from day one. Like the one who gives money is not taking any liability or any risk. Again, when you go to Bank of America or Chase and you get approved for $100,000, construction loan, student loan, business loan, investment loan, personal loan, whatever the category might be. Once you are approved for 5% APR, annual percentage rate, and you decided to use that money for one complete year, what does it mean? It means that toward the end of the year, the total amount has to be paid back to Bank of America is 105. Simple math, right? Like simple interest, not the compound interest. And if you decide to keep that money, utilize that money for 4 years, total amount has to be paid back is how much? 120. 5% times times 4, that's 20%. Now, who is fully responsible for the outcome result of that loan? You took that money for business purposes, you put it in a business, okay? Whether you make profit, good profit, less profit, no profit whatsoever, you break even, you incur loss, you bank, you go just bankruptcy. The bank actually does not care about the outcome result. Okay? You are absolutely by your own. By the law of the land, they can go after you in the court system asking for the principal and for the premium on top of it. There is no liability, there is no risk taken by the bank. And I want you to remember that this kind of finance, we call it in a very technical industrial term, we call it the risk shifting finance. Risk shifting one. Okay, I want you to remember this term, risk shifting one, because that's the conventional one, as opposed to the Islamic one that's based on risk sharing one. Risk shifting, the haram one. Risk sharing is the halal one. Now for the time being, Risk shifting, again, it shows clearly that there is no partnership, there is no liability, there is no risk. The bank is not responsible for the outcome result of the loan. You are absolutely by your own from day one. And maybe you can sense from now why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prohibiting riba. Because of the dhulm, because of the financial exploitation. Someone is just sitting, relaxing like me, the bank, giving you the money, and just waiting for one complete year to receive the principal and the premium on top of it. Okay, the bank does not care any liability or any risk. There is no khatar, there is no risk. It's taken by the bank. All the liability is taken by whom? By the borrower. And that's actually that is not fair. Now, I don't think we have an issue when it comes to the prohibition of riba. I don't think we have an issue here as Muslims living in the USA when it comes to the definition of riba. Now, we know that riba is a premium that has to be paid by the borrower to the lender along with the principal amount as a condition for the loan. As a condition for the loan means that if you do not agree in advance to commit yourself to paying the 5% more or less, then you cannot even proceed with the loan. If you tell the loan officer that I'm a practicing Muslim and I do not pay interest, can I take $100,000 for free? The answer will be, well, you go to your masjid and get money for free. We are not a charity organization, we are a bank here. We make money. So the riba here actually is unavoidable, right? You have to commit yourself to paying that interest down the road. Moving on. What kind of challenge we face here? I just said that if you go to the classical fiqh books and you keep reading and reading, you get even more confused, right? Riba al-fadl, riba al-ta'am, riba al-nasiya, riba al-duyun, riba al-jahiliya, riba al-nuqud, and so on and so forth. Now, in the real life, as a Muslim living here in this society in 2025, you come across several financial charges. You either charge others or you might be subject to be charged by others, right? And those charges, take for example, something called penalty, especially when there's like a construction or like you have a contract with a home builder. Okay, there is a penalty clause, which means that if he did not submit the house like like turnkey on time, you will be charging him, let's say, $200 a day. Would that be counted as interest or not? Think about it. How about overdraft charge? If you do not have sufficient fund, for example, in your debit card, and you overused it, right? You have to pay whatever the bank paid on your behalf, plus something else introduced to you as an overdraft charge. How about late fees? Each and every single utility like bill, invoice that you receive does have a due date, right? What will happen if you did not pay before the due date? You subject yourself to paying what's called a late fees. Is the late fees riba or not? Dividend, if you have any business to do in the stock market, right? You receive dividend, like a kind of profit. Sometimes a profit, sometimes commission. You do certain job for a commission, as we discussed today. Interest, sometimes like you read like explicitly the term interest in certain contracts or in certain agreements. For example, last year there's a local bank in Houston called Regions. So they offered me to open checking account, and they said if you open checking account, we're gonna gift you $400. I said, yeah, sure, why not? So I opened a checking account and they deposited in my checking account $400 for free. To my surprise, toward the end of the year, they sent me 1099 tax-like form, $400 interest. Okay. If they call it interest, will it be counted, like from a Sharia perspective, as an interest or not? That's actually a challenge that we face. We come across those contemporary terms, and we do not know, okay, whatever they call interest, is it interest or not? Whatever is introduced to you as otherwise, overdraft, penalty, late fees, dividend, profit, is it the interest that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited or not? So cash back, like when you use your credit card and you receive would that be counted as interest? Fine for certain like violations, compensation, we do a certain job, honorarium, service fees, equity, shares, and the list actually goes on and on. Here is actually where the confusion coming from. That you read something in the classical books and you come across different charges in the real life in the USA. Again, you might be subject to like be charged by others, or you might charge other people. Are those different charges riba or not? That's actually the challenge that we face. As I said today in the khutbah, our job actually is to navigate through the system and unlock the secret of those contemporary transactions to make sure that if this transaction, this deal, this contract, this potential partnership, potential business, enterprise, okay, is haram, you have to avoid it. If it is halal, then you can safely get involved in it. The problem here is that our definition of riba sometimes is completely different from the definition of interest in the industry here in the US. Some people here actually do differentiate between usury, riba, and interest. Well, from our perspective, there is no difference. They are the same, right? Now, our job, as I said, is to unlock the secret of those contemporary transactions, okay? And believe it or not, it's not a hard job. It's not a rocket science, as they say, okay? Now, based on the definition of riba here, one more time, based on the definition of riba, if it is proven that a certain individual or certain entity is providing money, offering, advancing money to others, right, in a business transaction, while the principal is guaranteed and the return on top of the principal is guaranteed, right, that particular deal is not halal. If it is a partnership, or if it is claimed, okay, or assumed to be a partnership, someone is giving money, right, and asking for the principal to be guaranteed, and asking for the return on top of the principal to be guaranteed, that's riba, because that is the nature of interest-bearing loan. When you borrow money from Bank of America again, or from Chase, okay, the principal, in our example, $100,000 has to be paid back, and the 5% on top of it has to be paid back. So any other deal, whether it is called interest-bearing loan, or called musharaka, or called ijara, or called partnership, we don't care about the names. We care about the essence and the reality of the deal. I'm from Jordan. Back home, حدا أردني هون جماعة فلسطيني? Yeah. Back home, actually, they, like a lot of people, have a very common mistake. Okay, people who do have money give their money, cash money, to business people. Okay, and those financiers call themselves sharik mdarib. Like, I'm your partner. Here's $100,000 or Jordanian dinars, and I'm your partner. Use that money, okay, and my return on investment should be 1,000 dinar every month for 4 years, for 5 years. Whenever we are done, you bring me, like, you pay me back my principal, and you're good to go. Okay. Although they think that this is a mudaraba, sharik mudarib, but in reality, it is an interest-bearing loan. How come that you give a principal and you ask for a fixed return? I want 500 dinar every single month. Okay. What would happen if there was no profit? Are you still going to go after him and ask for the 500? If the answer is yes, then you are actually a lender. You are not a partner. You are a lender. You are not a partner. And this actually brings to our attention here a very important legal maxim, or fiqh maxim, or قاعدة فقهية. It goes: العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني لا للألفاظ والمباني. What matters in business transactions, is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. We don't care about the names that people use. What we care about is the reality, is the essence, is the genesis of that deal. Someone is giving you money as a partnership, and ask for the principal to be paid back regardless, and ask for the return on investment to be paid back regardless. Well, whatever he is offering you is none but an interest-bearing loan. Although actually he introduced himself as sharik mdarib, like back in Jordan, but actually this is not a partnership, this is an interest-bearing loan, right? So again, remember, العبرة في العقود للمقاصد والمعاني. What matters in business transactions is the essence and reality, not the wording or the formality. Someone took a loan from from Chase, from Capital One, $100,000. Some way, somehow, the loan officer was able to manage, okay, changing the document that has to be signed. And instead of the customer signing promissory note, this is to certify that XYZ individual has taken $100,000 for 5%. No, he just changed that document, and you know what? He just removed the promissory note, and he wrote down mudaraba contract, or ijara contract, or musharaka contract, okay, or partnership agreement. Would that make it halal? We don't care about the name, right? The essence, the reality is that he is taking $100,000 for 5% APR. So if you go with this qaida, it's obvious, it's clear that this deal actually is not a halal one. Simple as that. Moving on, let's take some practical examples or some case studies if you wish, just to make it clear that discovering or unlocking the secrets of those contemporary transactions is very simple and very easy, right? Just imagine that I have $10,000, you know what, $100,000 cash, okay? And I told Dr. Hassan, here is $100,000 cash, take it, do whatever you want. By the end of 2026, إذا الله أحيانا, 2026, you have to pay me back 105. What do you call this deal? Say it. Interest-bearing loan, right? So he is guaranteeing for me the principal and the return on top of it, right? So that's an interest-bearing loan. Well, instead of giving him the money, I went to Chase or to Bank of America and I opened a saving account. I deposited $100,000, and by the deal that I sign online or in person with Bank of America, they have to pay me back 105 by the end of 2026. By the FDIC, by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, I can go after them in the court and ask for the principal and ask for the return on top of it. Now my question to you, what is the difference between me lending my money with interest to Dr. Hassan or otherwise opening a saving account? Just copy and paste. What does that mean? It means that opening a saving account is not a halal option. Do you know why? Because you are lending your money to the bank. Someone would say, oh, hold on. You want to tell me that you, the one who has 100,000 only, is lending your money to the bank who has millions of thousands of billions of trillions of dollars? My answer is yes. We don't care about who has more and who has less. What we care about is the essence and the reality of the deal. I am giving my money. You know what? Call it mudaraba, call it partnership. I don't care, right? $100,000 is guaranteed, and 5,000 on top of it is guaranteed within the next 18 months. That's the exact absolute, interest-bearing loan. So do not open a saving account. Now, what is the alternative? That's completely not Islamic Finance 101, right? That's something else. If you are interested, maybe you can join Guidance College for Masters in Islamic Economics and Finance. Inshallah, we'll take care of you. We'll answer all these questions, right? I can just give you a hint. Why open a saving account to start with? Why? You want to set off the inflation, especially like post-COVID? Well, you can open a mutual fund account. We have several ethically responsible, socially responsible mutual fund companies, right? You want to save your money in a safe place because it's not safe to keep the money home? That's fine. You can open another checking account. As long as you do not release the information of the checking account, there is no possibility for that checking account to be hacked or to be to be hacked or to be frauded, right? So you can just keep that money in another checking account. Do not use it. Do not release the information. Do not use checks or debit card, and your money will be safe. How about investing in gold nowadays? You will be making way more than what you make in the saving account, and on top of that, it is a halal option. So back to our discussion. Saving account actually is not a halal option, period. How about an overdraft charge? Overdraft charge. Let's say that you do have $500, okay, available balance in your checking account that's connected with your debit card. You stopped by a point of sale, you purchased an item, phone or whatever for $700, while you have how much? $500. and the transaction went through. Right? After a few days, when you checked your online bank statement, oh, you have to pay back $200 plus $35 overdraft charge. Or it's not interest, it's not riba, it's overdraft charge. Okay? Do you think that the overdraft charge is riba or not? طيب, do not answer. Let's just unlock the secret of what's going on here. When you do have 500 and you purchase an item for $700, right? It means that somebody else paid on your behalf $200. That makes sense? Okay. Now, are those $200 like يعني مشان سواد عيونك يعني gift for you مثلا? No, they are not, right? والله كيف تحكيها بالانجليزي مشان سواد عيونك؟ So, whatever the bank paid on your behalf is a loan, right? Whatever the bank paid on your behalf is a loan. If the only thing you need to pay back is $200, we don't have any issue here. Problem here is that you have to pay on top of the 200 extra money. So that extra money actually is the premium on top of the principal. So the default rule here, is that each and every single overdraft charge is riba. It is haram, unless otherwise proven. You can make a very good argument here. You can say, no, this is not riba. This is an overdraft charge in a sense that this is like an irregular activities. My customer did not have enough money. I have to go after him. I have to process $200 payment. Because of the extra work I'm doing as a bank, I deserve $35. And that could be the case. But as an Islamic Finance 101 presentation, let me just establish a rule here that the default rule is that the overdraft charge is riba, is an interest, unless otherwise proven. And that otherwise could be proven. Moving on. Home mortgage. Do you think that mortgaging a house in a very conventional way in the USA is haram or halal? Again, do not answer. Just pause here and try to unlock the secret of those transactions. When I mortgage a house, again, with Chase, with Bank of America, with whatever company, it means that there is a sale agreement. I'm interested in purchasing a property or a house in Memphis, Tennessee for $500,000. And because I do not have cash money, I would apply for mortgage. Upon the approval of my application, after checking my income and income debt ratio, credit scores, employment history, all these different parameters that they take into consideration, once I'm approved, the mortgage company would pay the landlord, okay, or wire him or her $500,000 on my behalf. In order for the mortgage company to secure their fund, they put a lien on the property. They mortgage the property. So you're talking about a sale agreement where I'm purchasing a house from the landlord, and you're talking about loan agreement where I borrow $500,000 from Bank of America, and I have to pay it $800,000 within the next 30 years, right? And you're talking about loan agreement. You're talking about mortgage agreement. Well, when it comes to sale agreement, it's halal. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ حَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. When it comes to the mortgage agreement by itself, believe it or not, it is permissible. What does it mean? If you are to lend your money to someone that you do not know well, okay, is it okay for you to tell him, listen, akhi, I'm willing to give you whatever you want, but give me your car as a collateral, give me your watch, give me your phone as a collateral. Okay, I'm gonna keep it with me until you come back and you pay me the money. And once I receive my money, I'll release that collateral. Is there anything wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with it. وإن كنتم على سفر ولم تجدوا كاتبا فرهان مقبوضة. That's كلام الله عز وجل. الرهان here actually is الرهن. الرهن is the mortgage. So we do not have any issue with the mortgage agreement, in a sense that the mortgage company does have the right to give what is called nowadays, they call it secured loan, okay, or collateralized loan. So they give you money for a certain mortgage, a certain lien that they put in the property. If something happened, you did not proceed with the transaction, they would just foreclose and just take the property back, right? This is the only way for them to secure their money, because that's a long term. You are talking about 20, 25, 30 years agreement. The only problem we have here is with the loan agreement. Okay, you borrow $500,000, you pay it back $800,000 within the next 30 years. From day one, bank actually doesn't care about the well-being of the house. When it comes to maintenance, tax, insurance, any appreciation, any depreciation, any eminent domain like the property is taken by the government, any natural disaster that's not covered by the insurance, you're absolutely by your own. Bank doesn't care about the situation, okay, or the condition of the house. Once the loan is approved and the money is advanced to you, you are absolutely by yourself, and that's an interest-bearing loan. Now, we ended up having two halal like segments, which is the rahan agreement, right, and the sale agreement, and one haram segment, which is the loan one, right? So two halal against one haram. The whole deal should be halal, because this is how democracy works, right? Like we go with the majority. In the Islamic finance system, actually, it goes the other way around. Islamic finance system, it goes the other way around. If it is proven that a certain segment in any deal, in a transaction is haram, that will be way more than enough to ruin the whole deal and to make it haram, right? Some people, again, mistakenly think that, oh, the mortgage company actually does not, the mortgage company actually owns the house. That's incorrect. There's a difference between ownership, okay, and being the lien holder. So the mortgage company actually is the lien holder. Okay, if you check the documents that you have, there are like two major documents. One of them is called the title, that shows the ownership, and the bank doesn't care about the ownership, who owns the house. And there is another like document called the deed of trust. When Ahmed, deed of trust, you see, deed of trust actually is the most important document, right? It shows the obliger, okay, which is the victim, the borrower, which is your good self, along with the financier, which is the lender, and the title company who manages the business. And that document actually is the lien itself, is the mortgage or the lien itself. If and only if you move like forward, correctly, nothing will happen. Otherwise, okay, the mortgage company would just jump in and foreclose the property, kick you out if you default, and just reclaim or repossess the property again. So to answer the question here, is mortgaging homes in a very traditional way in the USA, is it haram or halal? The answer is not. The answer is that it is not halal. It's absolutely does have riba involved. Now, how about the fatwa of Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi wa rahmatullah alayh? How about the Islamic mortgage companies between Guidance Residential, University Islamic Financial, Devon Bank, Mubarak Mortgage? I mean, this is not Islamic Finance 101, right? Let's just focus on just establishing very simple, clear rules that mortgaging homes in a very traditional way is not a halal option. طيب. Let's take some other examples. What do you think about cashback? What does cashback mean? Cashback actually, when you do have a credit card, not a debit card, and use it like for purchasing items or paying bills or whatever, okay, if there is a promotion by the credit card company, cashback, they tell you, listen, if you spend $100, I will pay you back $5. I will pay you back $5. Is that riba or not? Let's again just take a breather and try to unlock the secret of this transaction. Before you answer, if I'm to give you, my brother, if I'm to give you $100 and ask you to pay me back $105 within the next 6 months, what do you call it? Riba. If I'm to give you $100 and ask you to pay me back $100 straight, what do you call it? Qardun Hasan, interest-free loan. If I'm to give you $100 and ask you to pay me back $95, would that still be riba? Okay. Do you know why? Because whatever is haram here is that when the lender, which is me in this case, when the lender is benefiting from the loan, when the one who is benefiting from the loan is the lender. And the qaida here that I should add it to the presentation, كل قرض, listen to this, كل قرض جر نفعا مشروطا للمقرض فهو ربا. كل قرض جر نفعا مشروطا للمقرض فهو ربا. Each and every loan that brings a stipulated benefit to the lender, not to the borrower, will be counted as riba. Right? In this case, the one who is benefiting actually is the borrower and not the lender. I'm giving him $100 and I'm asking him to pay me back only $95. That's exactly what happened when there is a promotion or there is a cashback. You use that credit card, and by the way, when you use a credit card, you are borrowing money. Is that correct? You are not using your money. Credit card means that you are borrowing money from a credit card company. So all the rules and the restrictions of the loan agreement are to be applied here. So the credit card company lends you $100, okay, and you pay it back $100, and they pay you back $5. Is that correct? So you ended up borrowing $100, paying back only $95. Okay, and that actually makes it clear that cash back is halal, right? If you do have some cash back and you are not happy with it, you feel it's haram, just give it to me or just go to Guidance College and donate. I'll be inshallah more than happy to take it. Okay, let me just confuse you a little bit here. How about owner finance with interest? Owner finance with interest. I'll give you an example. You want to purchase a car from your non-Muslim neighbor, John Smith. So he's asking for $10,000 cash for the car. And he told him, you know, John, I'm very interested, but I do not have cash money. Would it be possible to make a payment plan for me? He said, sure. So he grabbed his calculator and started doing math. Okay, it's gonna be $12,000 for 1 year. $12,000 for 1 year. He added certain APR, annual percentage rate, and he insisted in writing in the contract $10,000 price, initial price, plus $2,000 interest. And you tried several times to make it $12,000 straight price. Forget about it. He said, no, this is what I have for you. You take it or you leave it. Okay. Do you think that if you agree to pay $10,000 price plus $2,000 interest, would that be counted as interest? Is it the riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibited? Do not answer, think. But before you answer, let me confuse you more. How about that? So I'm here tonight to confuse you. Okay. What if you told John Smith, oh, hold a second, and you went to Capital One. You borrowed $10,000. You paid him $10,000. You took the car and you paid $12,000 to Capital One within 1 year. Would the first scenario, owner finance, be equivalent to the second scenario? Are they both haram? They both halal? I don't know. None of the above. Give me answers here. Owner finance with no bank in between. $12,000, $10,000 price plus $2,000 interest. If you think that this is haram interest, raise your hand. If you think it's halal, raise your hand. Sisters, I want to see hands here. Halal? If you borrow money from Capital One, 10,000, and you pay 10,000 to John Smith and pay it back $12,000 within 1 year. If you think it's halal, raise your hand. Still halal. If it is haram, raise your hand. MashaAllah. Here is the answer. If the market value of the car is $10,000, does John Smith have the right to ask for $12,000 cash, spot sale? Can he overprice the car? Can he inflate the price? Yes, he can. Why not? Okay. There is a lot of transparency in the market. You go to kbb.com or CarMax, enter the specification of the car, and you will see the market value, wholesale, retail, and so on and so forth. and it's your call. You take it or you leave it. Now, my argument here, if he does have the right to ask for $12,000 cash, spot sale, right? Spot sale, for a car in which its market value is only $10,000. Why does not he have the right to break the $12,000 down into 12 payments? If he can ask for $12,000 cash, why cannot he just make an installment? Okay. This is, by the way, one of the very few cases where the Islamic finance system does appreciate and acknowledge what's called the time value. Time value, sometimes it is acknowledged and sometimes actually it is not. In this very particular case, it is definitely acknowledged. In economics, we call it the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost. What does it mean by opportunity cost? If John Smith has decided to sell that car to somebody else, $10,000 cash, he would have been able to make $2,000 profit within 1 year, right? So he's doing you a favor by giving you the car. Okay. Now, هل جزاء الإحسان إلا الإحسان. He is compromising that $2,000 potential profit in order for you to pay him those $2,000. So to answer the question, if it is owner finance, there is no bank, there is no loan involved here. John Smith actually is the owner of the car. He has taken the risk and the liability of owning the car. He can ask for whatever he wants. He can tell you, listen, this car is for $10,000 cash, $12,000 for 1 year, $13,000 for 2 years, $14,000 for 5 years. He can give you unlimited options. As long as you are still like within the negotiation stage, there is nothing haram here. Once you close, once you agree, you pick and choose one option and you close on it. Once you close, you close, right? The deal actually is locked. It's $12,000 for 1 year. That's it. That's the price. Allah. Cannot be increased and cannot be decreased. That's it. So this option actually is halal. Owner finance with interest. Even if he insists in calling that $2,000 in our example interest, again, we don't care about the names. That's an extra price because of the payment plan. But if you decide to do it otherwise, if you borrow money from the bank and you pay him $10,000 and you pay the $10,000, $12,000 to the bank, that's haram. We are like back to square one. You are borrowing money with interest. Let me skip the penalty clause because of the time and just move on. The Islamic finance is about risk sharing. Okay, risk sharing in a sense that no one has the right to give money while the money is guaranteed. Now, do not get confused. You might work for like corporate America, and you receive $7,000 salary. Okay, well, that salary actually is guaranteed, but there is no partnership, there is no lending here. Okay, because of the degree that you hold, because you work from Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, you deserve $7,000 salary every month. That has nothing to do with our discussion. We're talking about financing, lending money, giving money, advancing money. So do not get confused. Each and every mode of finance here, whether it is mudaraba or musharaka or murabaha or ijara or istisna, does have to have a certain amount of risk and liability assumed by the financier, by the one who gives the money, in order for him or her to justify the profit that he is asking for. Justify the profit that he is asking for. If that risk is not proven, then that very particular contract is not a valid one. It doesn't mean that murabaha is haram or musharaka is no, it's halal. But that particular application of the murabaha is the defective one because it was done wrongly. So let's draw a line between the permissibility of the mode of finance and the application of that mode of finance. Okay? Take for example mudaraba. You know what? Forget about mudaraba. Let's take the musharaka one and let's take a practical example, like to show you the difference between the Islamic finance and the conventional finance. How much time we have for the adhan and the iqamah? 15 more minutes? With interest or without? No interest? All right. Okay. Islamic way. طيب. Let's take this practical example. We have two different gentlemen here. Your name? Abdul Rahman and Kareem. So we have Aboud and Kareem. So Abdul Rahman and Kareem, both of them wanted to mortgage a house, okay, just for discussion purposes, okay. Imagine that Islamic finance is like fully implemented. Like there is a genuine, sound, very authentic Islamic finance practice, which is unfortunately not the case nowadays, right? Just for discussion purposes. So Abdul Rahman decided to go with the conventional mortgage, and Kareem decided to go with the Islamic mortgage company. Both of the gentlemen was approved for $500,000. $500,000. And they both have to pay like a total of $800,000 within the next 30 years. Right? Dr. Hassan doesn't have any background of what's going on. He just was passing by and would just ask a question, Akhi, what is the difference? Now, Abdul Rahman borrowed $500,000 and he has to pay it back 800,000. Kareem borrowed $500,000 and he has to pay it back 800,000. What is the difference? Okay, that's a very good question and a very innocent actually question. Okay, that kind of misunderstanding and confusion, believe it or not, is not something new. It was raised and discussed, tackled in the Quran during the revelation of the Quran itself. ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا. Some people said that sale agreement is equivalent to a loan agreement, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did permit sale agreement and did prohibit the loan agreement. Let's apply this ayah على عبد الرحمن conventional وكريم Islamic mortgage. Abdul Rahman actually did pay 5% down payment equity, and from day one, as I said, because this is a conventional mortgage, maintenance and tax and insurance is his exclusive responsibility. Appreciation, depreciation, eminent domain, natural disaster without coverage from the insurance is his main responsibility. The mortgage company doesn't care about the situation or the condition of the house. Okay, the only thing that they understand is that within 30 years you have to pay $800,000, $500 principal, $300,000 interest. Period. That's it. What happened with Kareem actually is completely different. He did actually pay 5% to the Islamic mortgage company, but he got involved in something called declining partnership. المشاركة المتناقصة المنتهية بالتمليك. Okay. From day one, the Islamic mortgage company purchased the house jointly with him. So you can see the name of the mortgage company, the Islamic one, as an owner of the property, not only as a lien holder. So there is a genuine, authentic ownership. And with this ownership, there is a package, right? Now, you own, Kareem, 5%, and the mortgage company owns 95%. Now, you want to occupy the property with your family members, with your parents or with your wife and kids. متجوز كريم ولا بعدك؟ ليش بعدك مش متجوز لسه كريم؟ قديش عمرك يا كريم؟ 23. You are due يا كريم. خلاص أنا I will take care of you إن شاء الله. طيب. So what happened is that he owns 5% and the mortgage company owns 95%. Now, a part of this deal, the declining partnership, is for Kareem to rent the share of the company, right? If the fair rental value of your house is $3,000, the mortgage company would ask you to pay $3,500. $3,000 rent and $500 to increase your equity, because that's a declining partnership. So every single month you pay $3,000, right? $3,000 rent, $500 equity, right? Next month, $2,090.50 rent and $550 equity, because you are like owning their shares gradually. So you start 5% equity, 95% the mortgage company. After 1 or 2 months, you become 6%. Their share goes down to 94, 7%, 93, 8%, 90, all the way until you make the very last payment, right, of $3,500, in which you kick them out of the deal after 30 years. Not only that, because they own the property with you. Okay, if there is any major maintenance expenses, by major I mean not wear and tear, مش عارف موكيت ولا faucet ولا no, something that's really significant like foundation issue, roofing, flooring, air conditioning, right? Like something that's really significant. They have to take care, okay, of their share of the expenses. So they have to maintain the property between maintenance, tax, and insurance, right? If you own after 3 or 4 years, if you own 30% of the property, and they own 70%, right? And the total amount has been paid to maintain the property between, again, maintenance and tax and insurance was $10,000. You are responsible for $3,000, and they have to pay out of pocket how much? $7,000. Okay. After 15 years, you became 50% owner. You said, you know what? I don't want to stay in Memphis, Tennessee. I want to go down to Houston, Texas. Right? That's fine. You put the house in the market and you sell it. Okay. There was a depreciation, whatever recession, whatever the reason. There was a depreciation, like reduction in the market value. So there was a loss of $50,000. You will be losing 25, and they will be losing how much? 25. There was an appreciation of 100,000. You're gonna put in your own pocket $50,000, and they put in their own pocket $50,000. Natural disaster, something happened, and the insurance did not cover. They have to pay their share, of fixing the, like maintaining the property or fixing the loss. You see? So maintenance, tax, insurance, appreciation, depreciation, eminent domain, market value, natural disaster, they have to take care of their own share. See? That's the difference between what happened with Abdul Rahman and what happened with Kareem. Again, if you just zoom out, it's the same. $500,000 to be paid back, 800. But if you zoom in and you see that the huge amount of liability and ethical responsibility that the Islamic mortgage company is taking with Kareem, you can say, wow. At that time, you'll say, wow, there is a real difference between the Islamic finance and the conventional one. Again, this is with the assumption that Islamic finance is well implemented and practiced, which is not the case nowadays, unfortunately, right? إلا ما رحم ربي. Why riba is prohibited? Very common question, right? Your friend Kareem, non-Muslim, would say, well, if you go to the bank and you take $100,000 for 5% APR, and you put that money in a business, and you make 20% profit, right? You keep 15% for yourself. You pay the principal to the bank, and plus 5%. So it's a win-win situation. Everybody's happy. You make money, they make money, everybody's happy. Okay. If it is a good deal, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it hard by saying, no, you cannot borrow money with interest? What your answer would be for that? Here is my answer. This scenario is a very common one, but it's not the only scenario that takes place in the real life. There are other like extreme scenarios that they do take place in the real life. I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard about someone makes 300% or 500% net profit? I can give you an example. My own son, Suhaib, does have an online business. Okay, they call it vintage. Vintage means like used clothes, right? He goes to they call it Goodwill, Salvation Army, okay, and he purchases like donated clothes, okay. Like he does some cleaning and maintenance and posts them online. He says, Baba, sometimes I purchase like a shirt for $5 total between the price and maintenance and shopping and handling and posting online, right? And I sell it for $50. I sell it for $50. Abdul Rahman, if you pay $5 for a shirt and you sell it for $10, how much is your profit margin? 100%. If you sell it for $15, no, 200%. Yeah, 200%. If you sell it for $50, you paid $5 and you sell it for $50. You do the math. So it should be around maybe 700%, okay, to 800% net profit. Now my question here, alhamdulillah, my son doesn't deal with interest whatsoever. What if someone has borrowed that money from the bank? Is it just and fair enough? Okay? Is it just and fair enough for him or her to pay the bank only 5%, 5% interest or profit, and to keep like 495% net profit for himself? What is the justice here? You see, absolutely there is no justice here. There is no fairness here, right? Now this is a very extreme example. Let's take the other extreme example. Someone back in March 2020 borrowed $100,000 from the bank. What happened in Karim in March 2020? COVID-19. Okay, because of the COVID-19, he was unable, miskin, to manage. He just lost everything. Act of God, as they say. Nothing wrong from his end. No negligence, no mismanagement, none of the above. But the whole, the whole business in the USA was just frozen for a few months. He lost everything. Well, by the law of the land, the bank does have the right to go after him in the court system and ask for $100,000 principal and 5% APR. Okay? Although he lost everything and there was no negligence, there was no taqsir or shortcoming from his end. And the same question actually is to be raised here. Where is the justice? Where is the justice? Absolutely there is no justice. So the answer here actually is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to be implemented every time, everywhere, in all aspects of life. And if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a question, okay, Ya Allah, why you sent all those prophets, all those messengers? Why you sent all those books and scriptures? Okay, here is the answer in Surah Al-Hadid. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. We have sent our messengers with the clear evidences. وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانِ. And we sent down with them the scripture and the balance. Balance actually is a symbol of justice, الميزان, عدالة. صحيح? Why? قال ليقوم الناس بالقسط. So people may maintain their affairs in justice. So here is the answer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants justice to be implemented every time, everywhere, in all aspects of life. Justice in aqidah, that you acknowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your Lord and your sustainer and your giver, like the one who maintains you. Justice in ibadah, that you worship the one and the only one who deserves to be worshipped. And justice in akhlaq, do not look down at other people, do not insult anyone, do not cheat, do not steal, do not manipulate, do not bully, do not, right? And justice in المعاملات المالية, business transactions. Do not take advantage of other people. Okay? If you want to make a profit, we would love to see you making profit, but guess what? You need to make it in the most ethically responsible way. Do not exploit other people. Do not take advantage of them. So the answer to this question is that whenever riba is implemented in any society, in any finance system, it does bring a lot of injustice. It does bring a lot of injustice, whether like in the favor of the borrower or in the favor of the lender. Doesn't make any difference. At the end of the day, there is a lot of financial exploitation and injustice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want that injustice to be implemented. And that's why He prohibits the riba. When riba is haram, it's haram every time, everywhere, for every reason, for everybody. There is no exception. Do not tell me, oh, Al-Ahnaf, مش عارف, saying that Darul Harb, that's incorrect. Riba is haram in Makkah al-Mukarramah, haram in Las Vegas. Okay? حرام فوق كل أرض وتحت كل سماء إلى قيام الساعة. Almost done. طيب, we'll open the floor inshallah for a question and answer. And I'm here inshallah until tomorrow morning. I get my dinner, I get my coffee. So أنا قاعد لك يعني. I'm going nowhere. طيب. Do you want to break here for Salat al-Isha and continue? I need like maybe 10 minutes presentation after Isha, and then I'll open the floor for question and answer. Unlimited. سلام هي حتى. طيب. صلى الله على محمد.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. تفضل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة. قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استووا استقيموا. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. ولقد خلقنا الإنسان ونعلم ما توسوس به نفسه ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد إذ يتلقى المتلقيان عن اليمين وعن الشمال قعيد ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد وجاءت سكرة الموت بالحق ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد ونفخ في الصور ذلك يوم الوعيد وجاءت كل نفس معها سائق وشهيد لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد وقال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد مناع للخير معتد مريب الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد. قال قرينه ربنا ما أطغيته ولكن كان في ضلال بعيد. قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد. ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد. يوم نقول لجهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد. وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد. هذا ما توعدون لكل أواب حفيظ. من خشي الرحمن بالغيب وجاء بقلب منيب. ادخلوها بسلام ذلك يوم الخلود. لهم ما يشاءون فيها ولدينا مزيد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. وكم أهلكنا قبلهم من قرن هم أشد منهم بطشا فنقبوا في البلاد هل من محيص. إن في ذلك لذكرى لمن كان له قلب أو ألقى السمع وهو شهيد. ولقد خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما في 6 أيام وما مسنا من لغوب. فاصبر على ما يقولون وسبح بحمد ربك قبل طلوع الشمس وقبل الغروب. ومن الليل فسبحه وأدبار السجود. واستمع يوم ينادي المناد من مكان قريب. يوم يسمعون الصيحة بالحق ذلك يوم الخروج. إنا نحن نحيي ونميت وإلينا المصير. يوم تشقق الأرض عنهم سراعا ذلك حشر علينا يسير. نحن أعلم بما يقولون وما أنت عليهم بجبار. فذكر بالقرآن من يخاف وعيد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. ليث، بس حدا يوصل لي البرزنتيشن. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. سلامات. الله عليك. Do you have to smile يا شيخ ياسر? Do I need to smile? لا؟ طيب. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Now, for those who did not attend the presentation between Maghrib and Isha, I call this presentation Islamic Finance 101. And the main purpose behind it is just to discover the difference, or to know the difference between the conventional finance and the Islamic one. And we came up with the definition of Riba and the difference between the the risk shifting and the risk sharing mode of finance. طيب, so we are back. Contemporary issues. I do believe that the Muslim community needs a lot of education when it comes to Islamic finance. Nowadays we have like very contemporary issues. Cryptocurrency, student loans, retirement accounts, investing in the stock market, insurance, especially the life one, home mortgage and banking. As I said today in the khutbah, like living in a society where the whole system is an Islamic one, to navigate through the system and to pick and choose whatever is halal or like acceptable enough is not an easy job. So it's all about education. In order for you to practice your deen, you need to be fully educated, in those things. And that's why having an institute like Guidance College is important. We do have masters in Islamic economics and finance, right? And Guidance College, alhamdulillah, is now fully accredited by ASIC, one of the prestigious accreditation bodies in the United Kingdom. And we are working diligently in getting this school accredited in the USA. Guidance College is purely online, evening and weekend college, very affordable tuition fees, and we have in-house scholarship and financial aid. By the way, today in the khutbah and after the khutbah, I opened the floor to support the noble cause that Guidance College actually is standing for. I was telling the community that Guidance College is an eligible zakat recipient. You can pay zakatul mal under the category of al-fuqara wal-masakin, under the category of al-mu'allafati qulub, because we have a good number of students who are new converts, new reverts to Islam. And most of those brothers and sisters cannot afford paying the tuition fees. So we offer them what is called in-house financial aid. We teach them for free and we pay on their behalf the tuition fees and just let them study for free in order for them to get equipped with Islamic knowledge and just go back and serve the community again. So please be as generous, as supportive as possible to Guidance College. I'm not going to hold the fundraising, just a reminder to what I have said today during Salat al-Jum'ah. Sponsoring a student for 4 years, bachelor's degree in Islamic studies, that's $10,000. Sponsoring a student for 2 years, associate degree, only 2 years, that's $5,000. Sponsoring a student for 1 year, $2,500. If you can afford any, please do us a favor, do yourself a favor, and inshallah be a part of the success of this project. And again, you can prepay zakatul mal from now. You don't have to wait until the month of Ramadan. You can just make your zakat from now. I do have pledge forms, I do have donation box here, and I do have a credit card machine for those who want to make a donation. So please be as supportive, as generous as possible. If you made the pledge today after Jum'ah, you did not pay it yet, please make sure that you do it tonight, inshallah. Moving on, we do have actually a kind of short-term solution as opposed to long-term solution. Short-term solution is what we are doing now. Okay, there are a lot of Muslim communities and individuals who are declaring their independence from the banking system. They are telling, banks and mortgage companies, thank you so much, we do not need you. We do have our own resources, and they syndicate. They just bring the Muslim dollars and they keep them within, as they say, by establishing Sharia compliant projects. Okay, some of them are like blockchain based, some of them are just technology, some of them are investment in the stock market, mortgage companies. We do have very, very good examples of small size companies who are operating independently from the secondary market. No mortgage, no Freddie Mac, no Freddie May, nothing. They just bring money, they create an LLC, bring the money of the community, establishing declining partnership, start funding and purchasing homes for community members based on musharak. And they do a wonderful job. They do a wonderful job. Point here is that the Muslim community does have a lot of power. But what we need to do is to have a vision, to have a leadership, to have a determination that yes, we can establish our own Sharia compliant projects from A to Z. Okay, we can declare our financial independence and just do whatever we want. Okay, most Muslims here in this society prefer the short way, and instead of, or the easy solution, and instead of standing strongly and firmly for their principles by challenging the system and saying no to the banking system. No, they just try to find a way, some way, somehow, fatwa from here and exemption from here, okay, and just moving on. This is not the right way of doing business. Okay, we do have, believe me, we do have hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm fully responsible for what I say. Okay, hundreds of millions of dollars owned by the Muslim community scattered all over the country. What will happen one day if we decide to put our resources together and establish real Islamic finance or Islamic mortgage companies, Islamic investment to establish business or to fund business? We can do a lot. Okay, but the determination, the leadership, is required here, or are required here. We do have, like, so far, mutual fund companies here or there, Azad Fund, Iman Fund, Amana Fund, Sharia Portfolio, Musharraf, and so on and so forth, Zaki Financial. And the long-term solution actually is for the Muslim community to get more involved in politics, because this is a very democratic society. Okay, the more voters you have, the more power in making decisions. We need to penetrate the system. I was discussing with Dr. Hassan today, the level of political engagement of this community. And mashallah, I was very happy with his answer that, alhamdulillah, you do have a very, very involved and very powerful Muslim minority here getting involved in politics, voting and running for, different, like public, like official positions, which is good, alhamdulillah. In my experience in the society here, I reached to a conclusion that offering Islamic finance through education and giving degrees in guidance college is good, is important, but actually it is insufficient. It is insufficient. It is time for us to take Islamic finance from theory to practice. And that's why since 2020, 2021, I started accepting offers from different companies to be their Sharia consultant. Okay, so if you go to Edifice X, for example, I'm not sure if I'm to click on it, will it take me to the website? Can you see the website? No. No problem. So go to Edifice X. This is a blockchain tokenization platform to facilitate declining partnership, for home owners. Fi Wallet. Okay, this is a gold investment, halal gold investment. Zaki Financial. This is an Islamic investment in the stock market. Atina.co is just like an advisor for those who want to. If you go to those websites, you will find me there as either a co-founder or a Sharia consultant for those companies. And that's my point here. It is time to, take Islamic finance to the next level. Take it from theory to practice. Instead of just talking and increasing the public awareness, it is time to establish projects based on Sharia principles. Go to guidancecollege.org. If you do have any question about the college, you can email me at drman@guidancecollege.org. And I do Sharia compliance consultation. If you want my service, you can reach out to me through this website. So that's briefly what I have. I went too fast, but I wanted to finish as much as I can. As it was announced, inshallah, tomorrow between 10 to 1, we'll be having Islamic finance clinic, like one-on-one consultation. So if you did not reserve your spot, go ahead and talk to Brother Samir. Make sure that you have your own 15 to 20 minutes private consultation between you and I. And I will not charge you any money, I promise. It's going to be for free. Only for 20 minutes. After that, inshallah, العداد بيشتغل بصيرة دفعكم مصاري. So I'm done and the floor is yours. تفضلوا. You want to use Habibna Hadam so everybody would hear the question? Jazakallah.
I think my question actually, is regarding money depreciation. You gave the example of $100,000 and then you pay $5,000 actually extra. So the $100,000 actually today, next year actually is, it depreciates actually. It's worth less than actually 100,000.
Do you know, Habibna, the root of the problem? like what is the root of the problem here? We are still like thinking that loan is a mode of finance. Loan is a mode, I mean, this is what we think. That loan is a mode of finance. Like if you want to finance a project, you take a loan. And the problem actually is there, that the money does not have intrinsic value. And because of the inflation, the money is losing its value, right? And that's why we need to permit or find a way to like permit any ziyada or increase, at least to set off the inflation. Well, from an Islamic perspective, akhi, loan is not a mode of finance, believe it or not. Loan is not a mode of finance. Okay? If I have $100,000 and someone is in desperate need for money, someone wants to pay for the tuition fees, to like buy some food, for his family members, to do like medical surgery, to pay the tuition fees for the kids, whatever the necessity might be, I'll be more than happy to give him or her $100,000 for maybe a few weeks, for a few months, okay, for humanitarian reason, as a support, as a charity, okay, as a devotion, okay. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ have told us that if you lend your money twice, if you lend your money, interest-free loan, twice, you will be counted as if you have donated that money. So the bottom line here is that loan actually is an act of charity. Loan is an act of devotion. When I give someone $100,000, I anticipate none but the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a part of that package is that I, as a lender, I'm willing to take the inflation, right? So I give $100,000 now. I receive it $100,000 cash after 1 year, while its purchase power went down to $95,000. I'm willing to take that loss because again, it's an act of charity, act of devotion. All right? That's يعني من باب التعاون على البر والتقوى. When it comes to business, I will be having completely different attitude. If I have $100,000, right, and someone is approaching me asking for the money to do business, he wants to take my money and put it in car dealership. Why should I give you $100,000, okay, loan? Of course, you are practicing Muslim, I'm practicing Muslim, we do not deal with interest. Why should I give you $100,000 to use my money for your business and to make a good profit within the next 2 or 3 years, and then after 2 or 3 years you come back to me, oh Sheikh, Jazakallah khair, thank you, big hug, here is $100,000. Seriously? I mean, is this a good financial decision, business-wise? It makes no sense. If you want my money, ya Kareem, let's sit down and just talk money. Talk business, right? I can give you the money based on mudaraba. Mudaraba means trustee partnership. I know Kareem very well that he's very good in car dealership, in technology and accessories and whatever business. Here is $100,000, musharaka, mudaraba. If there is a profit based on my assessment, okay, I should be entitled to, let's say, 20% of the net profit of the business. I cannot say 20% of my principal. That's riba, right? Okay, here is $100,000. The market value for business is $200,000. Okay, are you okay with giving me 20% of the net profit of your business? He said, yes, I'm okay with it. Here is $100,000. If and only if there is a profit, okay, Kareem will pay me back the $100,000 plus 20% profit. What if there was no profit? I should get my principal, just go back home like ma'as-salam, nothing. Worst case scenario, something happened, act of God, out of his control. He was unable to maintain the business. He lost the $100,000 that I gave him. Well, believe it or not, I cannot go after him and ask for the principal. I cannot because we are partners. You see? Because we are partners. So whenever Islamic finance is implemented, in which loan is not a mode of finance, there will be no problem called the depreciation, because basically we are not giving money as a loan. Okay, I either give him $100,000 as an interest-free loan for a few weeks, few months, and that's it, right? Or otherwise, I give him $100,000 as a partnership, as an investment. So whenever the Islamic finance principle are implemented perfectly fine, there will be no existence for that problem, because no one will be willing to give money as a loan. Is that clear? Alhamdulillah. Next question. You want to pass the mic? Sisters upstairs, if you have any question, please go ahead. I'm listening. Do you have mic, sisters? You wanna talk? You wanna whatever you want, like write a question, whatever is convenient for you. No? طيب الحمد لله. تفضل يا that's troublemaker كريم. تفضل يا. What's your nickname يا كريم؟ كركم؟
Kim.
كيمو؟
Yeah.
يلا يا كيمو.
So I have a short question, but like it's a very common question. So it's about drop shipping, but it's not as a labeled of drop shipping. It's branded drop shipping. Like I got products from China, for example, but like I made it branded by my brand, and then sell it in USA. But the way in shipping, I don't have the product in my home. I have it as a sample product with my brand and then sell it. Is that considered like?
Do you know what does drop shipping mean? Drop shipping actually is a kind of business where the drop shipping like individual post maybe pictures or images for a certain product, let's say like square machine, right? In which in reality he doesn't have it. He doesn't own it whatsoever, right? So he posts it on his website, let's say for $100 cash. And whenever this commodity is sold, right, and someone paid him already 100,000, he would make an order to the manufacturer, tell him, listen, I have my customer in China, send him or her a square machine for $80, right? And the manufacturer would ship the credit card machine to China, بلاش China مش المشاكل مع ترامب, to Jordan, how about that, right? For $80. احنا بالك يا عبد الله امورنا تمام الحمد لله مفيش مشاكل. For $80. So in this case actually he makes $20. Now the question here, is he taking any liability or any risk? Any liability, any risk? That's actually the critical question. If it is proven, well, if there is no risk, there is no liability, in a sense. That if this product, okay, found out to be like defect one, who is responsible for replacing it, or fixing it? If Kareem is the responsible party, like the middleman, because we have a final customer and we have the manufacturer or the whole seller, and we have Kareem in between, the drop shipping one. Now, if and only if it is proven that you are the liable party, okay, if the product is found out to be defective one, and the manufacturer did not fix it or did not replace it, if you are the responsible one, that business, in my opinion, is halal. Okay. Now you tell me more. Did you come across this scenario where a certain product was defect and the manufacturer said, no, I'm not going to replace it, I'm not going to fix it? Were you responsible for it?
Like, I didn't start it yet, but like, I asked about that. Now, the middleman, like, he's responsible for that. Like, I gonna talk with the seller of the product and tell them, like, if any of the product failure happen or any software problems, they need to repair it and then send it back.
That's the bottom line, okay? Because Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-kharaju bil-daman," profit follows liability. If there is no liability or risk taken by Kareem whatsoever, then this is actually haram, because he's making, in our example, $20 with zero risk. He doesn't have money, he doesn't have products, he just puts some pictures. Whenever they are sold, right, he just asks the manufacturer to purchase it. So he receives $100 and he pays $80, zero risk. If there is zero risk, then that business actually is haram. To be honest with you, Kareem, I'm not 100% sure if this scenario happened, who's going to be responsible. If the manufacturer fixed it, alhamdulillah, khair wa barak. But if he did not, for whatever reason, if you are the responsible party, you either fix it or you replace it. If that is the case, the business is halal. Our Sheikh Salah As-Sawi actually is against dropshipping. He said that this kind of transaction has two different defects. فيه بيع ما لم يقبض وربح ما لم يضمن. بيع ما لم يقبض, like you sell something before you possess it. وربح ما لم يضمن, you take profit without taking liability. I would say no. If and only if you are the responsible party for fixing or replacing the defective product, then actually that daman, that liability, okay, having the property under your collateral, is sufficient enough to make it halal. You verify and you let me know. Okay. Once you practice this business, yeah, Kareem, send me an email. Here is my business card. Okay, tell me that yes, I'm responsible for the, or you're not. I'm not responsible for it. And based on that, the fatwa. If you are responsible, then it's halal. If you are not, then it's haram. ماشي يا كريم؟ كيمو؟ تفضل هنا. Just to smack it down.
All right, I have a couple of questions. My name is Bubak. My
I
first
can take
question.
only one question. Second one will be
okay.
riba right away. So just leave it to yourself.
Okay. All right, I know some brothers and sisters. They do work for the traditional banking system based on Riba. So I want to ask, is it allowed for them to work for those institutions?
We have two different schools here. Group of scholars say that any kind of business, any kind of job, any kind of service that you provide for conventional banks working for them, whether you are the security guy or the cyber security or the engineer or the loan officer or the teller, any kind of job, because the whole system actually is haram, because the core business of the bank is just lending money with interest. So any kind of job, including the CEO, who doesn't get involved in day-to-day operation, he doesn't lend, he doesn't borrow, every kind of jobs and any conventional loan is not halal. And I belong to this school. I wholeheartedly believe that you cannot work for a conventional bank, period. You cannot work for a mortgage company, period. That's it. There's another group of scholars who do differentiate between jobs that's directly involved in lending money with interest, and jobs that are not directly involved in that business. They said that if you are directly involved, that's explicitly haram. If that job is not directly involved in lending money, then it is less prohibited than the first one. And that's Sheikh Salah Hassan and some other mashayikh. So that's that. And I still actually believe that my opinion is the correct one. Because like in my experience, every single department in the bank actually is working like in a very integrated way with other departments. Like the cybersecurity guy work hand in hand with the engineer, with the software engineer, with the IT guy, with the it's a system, right? So there is no way to claim that the engineer or the IT or the cybersecurity is not. Well, you are involved. Okay, you are the one actually who facilitates the process of lending money with interest and charging interest. So no jobs allowed in a conventional bank, period. No. Sisters, any questions يا جماعة؟ جماعة اللي فوق upstairs. So far so good? طيب الحمد لله. حاضر.
All right. The second question.
That's one question only.
Okay, just one question.
We can talk like after that. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question that I keep thinking of all the time. So in Middle East countries, I will not name any one of them, but I feel like people are, they deprive people or young people from lots of their rights. And sometimes you'll find one of these countries offer some apartments or so through what's called real estate financing, تمويل عقاري.
Real estate financing?
Yeah, like تمويل عقاري, which is, if you will look into the contract, you will find it ribawi. Riba, okay? So technically, like the bank will lend the people, and then eventually, like over 30 years or whatever, they, pay this amount of money. But taking into consideration like the conditions of young people there, I mean, is there any kind of exception, like they can do this because otherwise they will not be able to get any of their basic or essential rights, like having a place or something like that? If that makes sense.
If you are referring to Egypt, I lived in Egypt between 86 and 91. I was a student at Al-Azhar University, and at that time I was not qualified to give a fatwa. Since 91, I left Egypt until today. I'm not aware of the system there. I have heard that there are a lot of Islamic alternatives, Islamic bank, Islamic mortgage companies. How authentic these information are, I have no clue. I would kindly ask you to get back to the Egyptian scholars who are living there. Okay, as long as they are qualified enough, heavily involved in the banking system, they know how the system works, and just get a fatwa from them. But for me, لا أدري. يعني. Fair enough. طيب. تفضلوا يا جماعة.
Assalamu alaikum.
السلام ورحمة الله.
How students loan or car loan works with Islamic finance? How that ownership or risk have been taken with respect to that the loan taker?
When it comes to auto finance here, like car finance, there is no one size fits all. We have different scenarios here. Scenario number one is to purchase a car like cash money, go to a car dealership and just pay for it, which is most probably not the case. We do not have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to buy like a brand new zero miles car, right? So finance means that you are borrowing money from a third party to pay for the car. If the offer that you have is zero APR, zero APR means interest-free loan for a certain period of time. Okay, 80 months, 72 months, whatever. Okay, if you are almost positive that you can afford paying the monthly payment, right? You can go for it as long as it is zero APR. Because again, zero APR means interest-free loan for a certain period of time. It's not a pure halal option, by the way, but it is an acceptable option. Technically speaking, did I say anything wrong here? Technically speaking, akhi, when you agree to pay interest, that's not allowed. Because when you take zero APR, you are telling the lender, I'm willing to take this loan, and if I default, I'm willing to pay you interest. If that grace period of like 3, 4, 5 years already passed and I defaulted in paying in full, I am willing to pay you interest, right? So that's not allowed. But the good news here is that this scenario is not equivalent to somebody else who is taking a car for certain APR, 3, 4, 5% APR. In the second scenario, riba is unavoidable. You are paying interest from day one. In the first scenario that you're asking about, right, riba is avoidable. What will happen if you committed to paying the monthly payment on time in full for the next 5 or 6 years? How much riba will you be paying? Zero, right? That's exactly like when you hold the credit card. You do have a credit card, right? Yes. Yeah, I can tell. I can see the credit card. Credit card, Habibina, means that you are borrowing money with zero APR, and you are telling the company, if I default, like if the monthly statement is overdue, like I did not pay at all, I did not pay in full, I paid after the due, I am willing to pay interest. But because you know the system very well, and you are practicing Muslim, you care about haram and halal, you did not pay interest for the last maybe 10 years. Okay, you do not use your credit card for cash withdrawal. Use it only for purchasing items or for paying bills. Okay, you spend based on your financial ability, like بتمد الحافك على قد جريك, as we say it in Arabic, and you pay in full before the due date, right? That's in fiqh is called something haramun لغيره, prohibited because of its potential consequence. Because once you open this floor, you subject yourself to paying interest, right? As opposed to al-haramu li-dhatihi. Haramu li-dhatihi is something that's prohibited for itself by itself. You can think of it this way. Haramu li-ghayrihi, credit card, potential interest. Riba is avoidable. Haramu li-dhatihi, prohibited for itself, is when you borrow money from the bank. The riba is incorporated, right? So back to the question. If the offer is zero APR, you can go for it as long as you afford it. If the offer is certain APR, 3 or 4% APR, we have more than one scenario here. Very few cases, it is proven that the finance department is owned by the car dealership, like Toyota Finance and Toyota Car Dealership. Very few cases. If that is proven, then you still can take an offer with 3, 4, 5, 7% APR, because in reality there is no loan. You are purchasing a car in installment for an extra price. So this Toyota, like 25 0 miles for $40,000 cash, you don't have cash, it's gonna be $45,000 for the next 5 years. The owner of the car, okay, is Toyota. Toyota car dealership is the one who owns Toyota Finance. It's a corporate person. If that is proven, which is like rarely proven, then you can take that car for 5% APR because you are not borrowing money. You are purchasing a car with extra price because of the installment or the payment plan. In most cases, the finance department is completely independent financially, administratively, and legally, right? Nissan car dealership is completely different from Nissan Finance. They hold the same parent name, Nissan. But again, in reality, they are completely two different entities. So much so that if one of them like goes bankrupt, the other one can still operate as if nothing happened. If that is the case, then you cannot borrow money, you cannot take any certain APR offer, right? There is one solution that I hate the most, and I cannot dare saying it is haram, but I don't like it, which is buying out the interest. Now, our example, the Toyota that you are like looking for is for $40,000, and there is no zero APR. There is 5% APR. After doing the math, you have to pay $45,000. Told them, listen, can you change the deal and make it $45,000 price with zero interest APR, and I'm willing to pay you $5,000 upfront, right? It does work this way. It does. You look at it, okay, from a perspective that you are negotiating a deal not to decrease the price, but to increase the price. So we change the price from 40 to 45, right? And it is okay, like from your perspective, to pay whatever down payment. They look at it as Muslims are like, excuse me, so dumb, right? They pay the interest up front. I mean, this is the way that they interpret it, okay? It's only $40,000, and they changed the contract. They made it like, like 45, and you paid the interest for the 5 years up front, right? Is it haram? I cannot say it's haram. Is it halal and I feel comfortable with it? No, I do not. A lot of scholars that I know, they said, well, it is okay. You can capitalize that, you can buy out the interest, right? And I think maybe 15, 17 years ago, okay, I was not holding that position, and it did actually happen with me, like in person. I went to Toyota. There was no zero APR. I told the salesperson, can you change it, okay, from 30 to 35, and I'm willing to have it zero APR. He said, you know what? That's something new for me. Let me talk to the manager. He went to the manager, right? And the manager came and explained the story to him from A to Z. He said, you know what? That's something new for me. Let me go to the director of the branch. And he came. Wallah, I'm serious. And director actually said, you know what? That's something new for me. Let me talk to the regional manager. From the regional manager to the CEO, to the FBI, to the Homeland Security. And they said, you know what? I'm not going to buy it. It's okay. This is what's happening. No.
Exactly.
I have a question, actually. So, for real estate investment, sometimes we borrow money. If in an Islamic way, if you don't borrow money from the traditional banking system.
I will take your question. I'm sorry. أخونا هذا اللي سأل. I will take your question. He wanted to ask a question. And
Okay.
Can you tell him please wait? I'm going to take your question, Akhi. Yeah. Stay around. Sorry.
Quick question I always wanted to
Right.
ask. Thanks for giving me the opportunity about the currency
بس
depreciation.
أقول لك إن أنا بحبك يعني I care about you يعني.
Thank you so much.
لا أبالي.
احنا من الأردن كلنا.
أهلا وسهلا حياك الله. أجدع ناس بتوع الأردن.
So the currency depreciation, theoretical question, if we live in a country that's pure Muslim, no corruption, no
Does
riba.
not exist, brother. How come that?
I said
Muslim
it's-
country with no corruption?
So no riba, and it's pure Muslim, and the currency is not connected to any foreign currency. It's connected to, say, gold.
Gold or so.
Yes. Does depreciation occur with the currency? I'm talking about paper currency, because the reason I'm asking is
Does depreciation happen?
yes.
In most cases, أخي, no. Because gold أخي does have intrinsic value. And this is, by the way, this is a very very theoretical question. Because nowadays the fiat money, okay, the fiat money is not backed up by any metals, no gold and no silver.
I
It's
know
just the
that.
bank المركزي like prints
So it's
money, and that's why it's
historical
subject
question.
to
Historical question. During the Islamic era, when they at some point they used to use
gold and silver.
gold and silver. Did they used to use paper currency?
Yes. Before Bretton Woods, actually,
Yeah.
they call it the fiat money was backed up by gold.
By the gold.
Yeah.
And the depreciation does not happen in this scenario.
In most cases, because
In most cases.
like you print based on the exact amount of gold that you have, and this is actually the safety valve, not to not to inject a lot of cash, when like what happened with the Federal Reserve in 2020. Why we are now experiencing severe inflation? Because of the billions
not
of dollars
connected,
have been printed by the Federal Reserve, injected in the market. You remember at that time when everybody received unemployment benefit and مش عارف stimulus checks and business loans, right, for like very nominal interest. Okay, so the market actually was flooded with billions of dollars. Okay, with no backup by commodities and merchandise and intelligence. And that's why we are like experiencing a very severe, unprecedented inflation in the U.S. economy.
Yeah. So I feel that inflation is a concept that has been invented recently, and we've been brainwashed to accept the fact that we're okay to take a loan from the bank because the money will depreciate anyway. So that's okay. Let's do it. So in history, that never happened when it's really connected to gold. So that's all new concept. Never happened.
I need to be honest, أخي, and I do not have any study or any data that there was no depreciation because of connecting the fiat money with gold. But most probably it should be the case, or just common sense because of the intrinsic value that gold and silver have. But that's my answer. But do I have any solid data or like backed up result by a study? Honestly, I do not. To be honest, yeah. جزاك الله خير.
جزاك الله خير.
حياك الله يا قرابة. أهلا وسهلا.
So I was continuing what I wanted to say actually. So we are planning actually with the Grow Share Capital. We are trying to finance, but mostly we're trying to attract people from the Muslim community. But in this case, if we do go for like principal blend with the profit, like whatever profit we can blend with the principal, and this product can deliver to the people. This is the final amount you could. So what is the Islamic justice system for financials? Could be attached with this.
Yeah, I have no answer because it depends on how do you structure the deal. عرفت? The most important thing, once you provide money, you cannot guarantee it. Okay? You cannot lend money. And if you lend money, it means that you are asking for the principal to be paid back to you regardless. And you ask for a certain markup or return or APR, like any premium on top of the principal to be paid. If it is structured in a way.
Now we are making it asset backed, meaning that real estate will be in place. We are not charging any money before or after. It is fixed. And we are build first with our money and deliver that things with a certain structured payment. Like it might be like every month you pay that amount, but there is no discounted form or riba form, whatever. The
Wallahi, Habibna, I have no answer. I need to see the whole structure of the company and the money flow, who is giving money, and what are the conditions behind it, what will happen if he did not pay on time. Do you guarantee that money for him? Do you guarantee certain return for him? What will happen if there is a depreciation after you build or you finance? Who's going to incur the loss here or share the loss? Like without reading the whole content, this is what I have learned. Without reading the whole content word by word, sentence by sentence, I cannot أخي make a fatwa. عرفت؟ Is that fair enough? Sorry.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
First of all, thank you for the lecture.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a question regarding student loans, particularly like if you would, for example, see if there's a Muslim college which is trying to give riba-free loans to the students, but then they have a loan department and they also have like people employed and everything. How can they be Sharia compliant in charging the cost of the working costs of the loan department when they're getting the loan back? And can they assign a percentage amount as the working cost on the amount itself, the loan amount?
Well, I don't think the loan provider cares about all these details because most probably they are non-Muslims. But if you ask from the Muslim perspective, do we have students here who could not find any halal by default funding opportunities? No grants, no financial aid, no scholarships.
So it's a
And those-
Muslim college and it is providing money, like whatever, they have their own, whatever, they are the direct lenders. So but they have working costs, how does, a Muslim lender get its working costs back for a Sharia compliant loan?
Well, there is a difference between working cost, like the overhead expenses,
Yes.
to process a payment and to charge whatever is reasonable for that labor, for that overhead expenses. That's halal. That's halal. In the real life, those lenders are not happy with the overhead expenses. No, they want to get something in return. So this actually brings the major question here, which is the status of student loan. Now, that question, sister, has two different sides. Okay, from the lender side and from the borrower side. Let's talk about the borrower side. We did actually discuss this issue like within our Fiqh Council, AMJA, the Assembly of Muslim Jurists of America. And what I'm saying now is not my personal opinion. This is the official position of AMJA. Go to AMJA online, AMJA, amjaonline.org, and read. It's there. We said that we need to encourage and support and remind and educate our college students to be active enough to go after halal by default funding opportunities, namely grants, financial aids, and scholarships. And there are a lot of scholarships available there, okay? But unfortunately, most of our students are not active enough to go after those halal by default funding opportunities. Do you know, sister, that every single year millions of dollars are returned unclaimed to the federal government because our students are not active enough in going after those financial aids and scholarships. I'm not talking about FAFSA only. No, I'm talking about several. Like back in home in the state of Texas, we have scholarships for athletes and for minorities and for students of like disabilities and special need. Okay, for illegal students. Can you believe it? Texas. Yeah, they are telling the kids jump the borders of Mexico, just come to Texas, and we'll take care of you. I mean, to that extent, we have a lot of money in Texas, by the way. So the fatwa here is that once those halal by default funding opportunities are utilized, grants, financial aid, scholarships, and they are insufficient, right? Can a student apply for subsidized loan, which is interest-free loan for a certain period of time, and then after graduation, he or she will be getting 6 to 9 months grace period, okay? If the loan is paid in full, okay, it will continue, it will remain as interest-free loan, and if there is a default or failure, then the loan will be counted as if it is interest-bearing loan. Our fatwa is that yes, if student is running out of resources, can he or she apply for a subsidized loan? Most probably, this kind of loan is given to undergraduate and based on financial eligibility. So you have to prove financial eligibility to get the subsidized one. The problem here is with the unsubsidized one. Unsubsidized means that this is a straightforward interest-bearing loan from day one. Just imagine that a student ran out of resources and even the subsidized loan is insufficient. He reached to a point where either to borrow money with interest or to be just dropped from the program, like dismissed from the whole college because of having no fund. Can he or she apply for interest-bearing loan? We did actually our own research and we found out as a fiqh council that this very particular scenario could be justified as a kind of necessity, okay? Providing that necessity does not mean life or death situation, okay? There's another definition of الضرورة, okay? الضرورة goes ما يلحق المكلف ضرر بتركه ما يلحق المكلف ضرر بتركه ولا يقوم غيره مقامه. It's a kind of irreplaceable matter in which lacking it causes harm to Muslims, right? Let's apply this definition here. We do not believe that higher education is a necessity. We can live without holding PhD and masters, but there is like a public and general need for higher education. I mean, this is the country of education, and people, we were discussing it today, people actually come from all over the world to the USA. They invest tens, if not even hundreds of thousands of dollars to hold masters or PhD from USA. It makes no sense whatsoever, okay, that people are coming from all over the world to get their higher education in the USA, while Muslims who are living in the USA, American Muslims, are deprived from having their higher education. Something wrong here. So we as a fuqaha, we need to come up with a solution. And you know for a fact that you cannot be influential in this society without being well educated. So we said that higher education is a legitimate and public need. That need, in certain cases, cannot be fulfilled, responded to, without borrowing money with interest. If that is the case, if it is proven that a certain individual cannot proceed with his or her degree without borrowing money with interest, then borrowing money with interest becomes permissible or becomes a kind of dispensation or exception in which borrowing money with interest becomes allowed for him or her. So the official position that taking unsubsidized loan, interest-bearing loan from day one, for those who are running out of resources, is acceptable for Muslims living in the USA. This is a very controversial fatwa, by the way, and very confusing. You may ask why you allow interest-bearing loan for higher education and you do not allow interest-bearing loan for mortgage. It's a good question. For mortgage, there is an alternative. If you do not own a house, what will happen? You rent. But when it comes to higher education, if you do not have money to pay the tuition, what will happen? You will be just dismissed. So because of lacking alternative, it becomes a darura. And that's why we said you can borrow money with interest.
But in the hypothetical situation...
Does that make sense, sister? Like
yes,
justification?
that makes sense. But what about if the onus is on the lender, and that's a Muslim lender, and they want to give interest-free loans, but they also do not want to accrue any loss in the process? How should they be, charging the loan back?
There is a difference, sister, between processing fees,
yes,
right, as opposed to like preserving the purchase power of the money, as opposed to making some profit from the money. Processing fees is okay, like to bring someone to sit behind the laptop and just do the processing and pay him and deduct that money, or ask the borrower to pay that money. That would be fine. But preserving the purchase power is not okay. It is not, right? So we need to get out of the box and come up with a creative solution. Okay, one of the solutions could be murabaha, although I do not believe it is a genuine. Okay, which means that you as a lender, you purchase those credit hours and you sell them for a markup for the students. Right? I mean I'm just thinking loud. I'm not saying that this is a solution. This might be a solution. As of today, there is a well-known organization called the Continuous Charity. Continuous Charity. They do offer interest-free loans for Muslim students. Even if you have like student loan with interest, they can just pay off the principal, okay, like to avoid interest, and just ask you to pay the principal. They do have some overhead expenses. They do charge you processing fees, but there is no interest. So far, actually, there is no like genuine solution that's available for lenders. Okay? But for borrowers, as I said, if someone is running out of resources, then he or she can borrow money with interest. I might choose not to allow my kids to take student loan, but that's my choice. Okay, it's not a fatwa. Let's draw a line between taqwa and fatwa. Taqwa, is just righteousness, being in the safe side. Fatwa is when it comes to haram and halal. And by the way, I did actually allow my kids to borrow money with interest for education because I cannot afford paying them tens of thousands of dollars. I cannot. And I do not see any problem with that. That's the official fatwa of our fiqh council. And that's the solution, like for Muslims living in this society here, they have to get their higher education. If they cannot get it without borrowing money, then just let it be. It's fine.
Assalamu alaikum. By the way, we do have a partnership with a Continuous Charity, MIC and Continuous Charity. We have a partnership, and we have some. Some of you guys might remember, they came last year to raise funds. So we do have that fund available for students in Memphis who want to get a loan that they will return after they graduate. So if you need any questions, if you have any questions, if you know anybody that might be interested, you can talk to Samir or myself, and we can guide you.
You should pay me some commission because actually I'm advertising your business here.
I have a question. One more question about cars. What is your opinion on leasing a car?
Leasing a car? Why you have a doubt that it's halal? What kind of concern you have?
One more time, what do you say?
What kind of concern you have? I mean, why you asking the question?
So because the payment, my understanding is the lease payment is composed of two components. One is the depreciation, the residual value of the car at the time of the end of the lease, and then the other is the money factor that they call, that is based on APR. So some people said no, it is acceptable. Others people said no, it's based on APR. Its money factor is what they're charging for what they're lending you. So I want
to answer. There are only two different transactions who are subject to riba. عقد البيع وعقد القرض. Sale agreement and loan agreement. Those are the only contracts in the Islamic finance system who might be affected or afflicted by interest. Loan agreement and sale agreement. When you sign a lease agreement, you are not purchasing and you are not borrowing. I know that behind the scene, like in the back office, the car dealership would sell the car to finance company. That's why, like, Mr. Anonymous actually is checking your credit history and your income to make sure that you are qualified. But I don't care about what happened in the back office. What I care about is whatever is in the table. I'm not purchasing the car. I'm not borrowing money. I'm just leasing a car, right? Lease agreement is not subject to riba to start with. So whatever they do, like, manufacturing, APR, let them like do the math that they want. At the end of the day, I'm not purchasing, I'm not borrowing money. I'm just leasing a car. So lease agreement is halal, providing that you will be getting three options. You can replace the car whenever you want. You can return the car. You can keep the car and purchase it, okay, with what's called the residual value, right? Now, they predetermine the residual value from now, which is fine. Tell you, listen, this car is now for $65,000. If you decide to Buy it after 3 years, we'll give you priority because you have been using it for 3 years. Its residual value is $25,000. You take it or you leave it, right? There is a kind of gharar here or ambiguity because they do not know what kind of situation the car will be in after 3 years. Okay, over mileaged, okay, under mileaged, good condition, excellent, totally damaged. They do not know. But the good news here is that this is not a sale agreement. This is just an option for you. If you want to proceed by purchasing this car, then that value will be such and such from you. Take it or you leave it. So to answer the question, lease to own or lease agreement actually is halal. It cannot be affected by interest. Now the fact that they add late fees, okay, is completely irrelevant because late fees is a very avoidable. It is riba, but it's a very avoidable one. If you commit to paying on time, there is no late fees. We said several times that if something is prohibited because of its potential consequences would be permitted, when there is a public and general need. So lease agreement actually is good to go. روح يا جماعة.
Question like the rent to own like an agreement. So when you have a house, somebody is interested in actually buying the house, but he does not have the money, then you
That's
just
fine.
you rent him part of his whatever he paid.
Even if there are like two agreements in one, that would be fine because they are so coherent. They support one another. You rent and in fact the declining partnership adopted by Guidance. By the way, this brother Ahmed represents Guidance Residential, one of the best options that Muslims actually are having in this society. Their model is completely different from conventional, banks and conventional mortgage companies because they operate as an investment company. So their model actually is very unconventional, very different from others. And they do go actually with what's called declining partnership, right? Declining partnership actually means like lease to own. It's the same. You lease whatever you do not own, and you purchase their shares like gradually, which is fine. Yeah.
One other question. So, did you
second question?
Just no second question. Personal
that's riba. But let's give a chance to others. If no questions, I'll get back to you, inshallah. Hadr.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Regarding dividends from stocks, what is the dividends to begin with? Is it riba? Is it considered riba, or is part of sharing profit?
No. Do we look alike? Like, is there any resemblance between me and Ahmed? No. Well, dividend means profits. If the financial instruments that you hold are halal, then dividend actually is halal. If the financial instruments or the stocks that you hold belong to companies where their core business is a haram one, then the dividend is haram. Simple as that. No. Yes, sir. Credit scores? What does it have to do with riba?
Does it have to do with like riba? Like, does it affect?
Well, it depends. It depends on the way that you build your credit history. Nowadays, if you commit yourself to paying the utility bills, okay, it doesn't help you building credit. So if you do not have any credit history, you start with something called security deposit credit card or security credit card, where you deposit, let's say, like $1,000, and they give you a line of credit for $1,000 for just a few months until they like trust you that you are a good customer, you pay on time, and by holding secured credit card, you can start building your credit history. You don't have to go to a bank and borrow money. Security credit card actually is the solution. Yes. That's something new for me. Good to know. What do you call it? So you apply for it, and from once you are approved, all the utility bills that you pay will be counted. Will be giving you scores.
So basically, he registered himself in the
I see. طيب جزاك الله خير. Good to know. Yes sir. مالها؟ it shouldn't be like within your comfort zone. And again, there is no one size fits all here. Main concern that we have in cryptocurrency, like bitcoins and others, is that it's not backed up by it's just a decentralized currency. There is no financial authority behind it, right? I mean, this is the main concern that we have. But to be honest, Habibna, you cannot compare cryptocurrency in 2014 when people started hearing about it with the cryptocurrency nowadays in 2025. Like the level of general acceptance of cryptocurrency is nowadays way more than before. Right? The unjustifiable fluctuation in its purchase power causes a lot of gharar, ambiguity. You purchase a Bitcoin unit for $5,000 today. After a few days, it goes down to only 500. After 2 months, it goes up to $35,000. It just goes up and down crazy. Right? And there is no way to track the reason or to find out the reason behind that significant fluctuation. Not to mention that some people use it for money laundering, which is absolutely illegal. We do have a fatwa on our website in AMJA saying that mining cryptocurrency and trading in cryptocurrency depends on the reason behind creating those cryptocurrencies, right? It depends on the reason behind it. If you go to Edifice X, for example, we do have tokens who are a kind of cryptocurrency, but those tokens are connected to real estate. Okay, we facilitate for people doing declining partnership. So those cryptocurrency belong to tokens, we call them, belong to Edifice X, for example, are halal. Bottom line here is that it shouldn't be like your main source of trading. If you do have some saving, maybe you want to designate 5-10% for cryptocurrency trading and making business, but this should not be like your main focus, right? Focus on real estate. I always say real estate is a real investment. Purchase and sell, flip homes, purchase rental properties. You will be making good money, and most importantly, it's halal. Now,
السلام عليكم.
there you go. Real estate. تعال ليش مغلبني تسأل عن الكريبتو كرنسي؟ ليش مغلبني لو تسأل عن الكريبتو كرنسي؟ اوكي.
السلام عليكم.
السلام عليكم.
جزاك الله خير يا شيخنا على وجودك هنا معنا. I have a quick question. My brother is asking if he gets a sign-in bonus, but he's not planning on staying with the clinic for that period of time that he can have the sign-in bonus for himself.
Signing bonus?
Yeah. And he's planning.
What does it mean, signing bonus? Like getting money for working for a certain hospital?
When you sign a contract with a company or a clinic, they give you extra, some amount of money, to help you move out or stuff like that. But he's not planning on staying with them the whole period, and he's planning to use that money to invest it. So what's the saying about the money that he gets back as profit from that some amount that he
What
gets?
are the consequences of quitting or terminating the contract? I mean, it should be written in the contract.
In the first 4 years, he has to work with them for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
So what if he dropped before 3 years? What will happen?
He loses 25% every year, and then the last year he will use 50%.
Like it is vesting in 4 years then?
Yes.
I'm not sure, Akhi, what is the question here?
So the sign-in bonus, let's say it's 10K. He's planning to use that money to invest for himself in the stock market or whatever. But he's not planning on staying with the clinic for the 3 years that they mandate him because of that sign-in bonus. He has to return the amount. If he leaves for the first year, he has to return 75%. If he leaves the second year, he has to return 50% of that sign-in bonus.
Do they charge him interest? Do they count it as a loan if he changes his mind?
No.
So whatever he borrows, whatever he takes, he has to pay it back?
in a certain amount. So, like if
يعني he has taken 25,000, right? And then he changed his mind. He just want to quit and move on. How
Yeah.
much you have to pay them back?
in the first year, 100%. So
25,000?
yes,
No extra money?
no,
Say والله.
yes.
should be حلال.
All right. جزاك الله خير.
طيب يا جماعة نكمل بكرة إن شاء الله. بارك الله فيكم. If you made the pledge to Guidance College and did not fulfill it, please make sure that you pay your pledge. بارك الله فيكم.
Assalamu alaikum. Just wanted to thank Dr. Ma'in and Jazakallah khair for everybody joining, alhamdulillah. There are 2 openings for the consultations tomorrow. There's 2 remaining openings for anybody that's interested, and that's going on from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. inshallah. Jazakallah khair.